What's up guys, I'm Celeste and today I'm going to be doing the gender tag. If you've never heard of the gender tag project, it's something that was started by another YouTuber named Ashley Wild about a year and a half ago that basically is just a series of prompts that ask you questions about your own gender experience, and then anybody can answer these questions and post a video on their personal YouTube channel. So I've watched a bunch of other people's gender tag videos, but I had kind of procrastinated or had kind of put off making my own because it had been so long since the project was started and I didn't know if I had kind of like missed the boat or something on it. But I decided to go ahead and do it because I've really struggled to make a video explaining my gender and stuff about my gender, and I decided that maybe if I do this series of questions that maybe it'll sort of get things started a little bit. Obviously I'm not going to go into every aspect of my gender in this video, but just to kind of give some basis for how I experience my gender. And I'll put a link in the description below to the main gender tag project website where you can find all these questions if you want to make your own video. And this is intended for absolutely anybody, any gender, whether you're trans or cis or something in between or whatever, and whatever your sexual orientation is, like anybody can do this. So with that intro out of the way, I'll go ahead and just get into the questions. Number 1, how do you self-identify your gender and what does that definition mean to you? I identify as non-binary, genderqueer, and genderfluid. All three of those words are kind of umbrella terms or can mean different things for different people. So non-binary to me is kind of it's the most like general of the three terms. It basically just means not male or female, or not being on the gender binary. I feel like it's a very neutral term. It's not political or controversial really in any way, other than some people not believing that the gender binary is a thing or that not being on the gender binary is a thing. But other than that, it has a less like controversial connotation than some of the other words. So I use that a lot just to be kind of neutral about things and just to be very general about my gender. Until recently, I hadn't really come up with another word, or I hadn't really found another word that I felt like really fit me. But I've gotten a lot more comfortable, or like I felt more connected to genderqueer as a term. I think I was kind of afraid of it at first because it has queer in it, and I don't personally have a problem with the word queer. I actually like it a lot. But I don't know, I guess I feel kind of weird about using it outside the community, like using it with straight and cis people and stuff. So it's kind of taken some getting used to for me to like be okay saying it, and like, I don't know, it's just a little bit weird from that perspective. But I feel like genderqueer is a word that I really identify with because in a way non-binary is just saying like not on the binary. So it's kind of dependent on the binary to exist. Whereas genderqueer is kind of a word that means you are something. It's not just that you're not something, it's that you are something. And so for me, I feel like it's kind of more of a specific term, even though it's like I said, an umbrella term that can mean a lot of different things. But for me, it signifies more of an identity than non-binary does. And as far as genderfluid, a lot of people who use genderfluid or who understand the word genderfluid kind of use it or assume it to mean basically like sometimes male and sometimes female, and kind of like wafting between the two, which that is absolutely the experience of some people. But for me, I never am male or female. I'm always some neutral kind of gender or some combination of masculine and feminine, but I never feel male or female. So for me, the fluidity comes from kind of like the ratio of masculine to feminine or vice versa. So I always feel like instead of being on a certain point in a spectrum between masculine and feminine, I feel like I am like a segment that straddles the middle of it. So I always am both masculine and feminine, but where on the spectrum that segment is can vary a lot. Like sometimes I feel more feminine, sometimes I feel more masculine, but I always really feel in the middle. So I always feel neutral and I always feel a combination, but the specific way that feels can vary a lot. Question 2, what pronouns honor you? I use she, her pronouns most of the time because I find it easier, just because those were the ones that I was assigned, and I don't have really strong aversion to them, so mostly just because it's easier. Question 3. Describe the style of clothing that you most often wear. I wear really a combination of different kinds of clothes, like from every department, pretty much. Like, pretty much since I started picking out my own clothes, I've always shopped in pretty much every department. Like, anywhere I can find something that fits me, I'll get. Like, I have clothes from the women's department, juniors, men's, young men's, boys. I have some girls' clothes, but those are a lot harder to find that fit me. But most of the time, like, just every day, what I usually wear are a lot of t-shirts that are from either the boys department or the young men's department. Most of my graphic t-shirts and things like that come from one of those. I do have some juniors t-shirts that I wear sometimes, but those, like, I usually, if I have a choice, I will choose the ones from the boys department or young men's department. For pants, I mostly wear pants that are from the juniors department or occasionally men's department, but most of my jeans are really old, like from like at least 10 years ago, because I really do not like current styles, or like current meaning like the last 10 years styles of jeans. I like wide leg jeans, and you can't really find those as well anymore. So I don't know, most of the jeans I have I've had forever. Some of them I've even had since like college, which for me was a while ago. So I don't know, I just wear whatever interests me basically. I don't at all care what department it comes from if it fits me and I like it. Question 4. Talk about your choices with body hair. How do you style your hair? Do you have facial hair? What do you choose to shave or choose not to shave? Okay, well, I'll go ahead and just start with like my regular hair. Obviously I style it like this. I like keeping it short. I've had it long before, and I like the idea of long hair a lot more than I like actually having to deal with it. So pretty much since, like, I would say college, I've kind of gone through this thing where, like, I'll cut it really short and then I'll grow it out really long, and then I'll cut it really short and then I'll grow it out. Like, I would just do that over and over again. And I've had it short like this for a little over 2 years, and I don't really have any plans to grow it out right now. It's totally possible that in the future I will, but I don't think I probably will. I really like having it short. As far as other hair, I don't have facial hair, nor do I want it. I shave my underarms regularly. I don't like having hair there. I also don't like having hair on my legs, but I'm really too lazy to do anything about it, so most of the time I do, and I just wear long pants all the time, because even though I wish that I didn't care about societal expectations and stuff, and I would like to get to a point where I would be okay not caring that much about it, I'm not there yet, so I'm really self-conscious about having hair on my legs. So the only time I really do anything about it is if I know for sure that I'm going to be wearing shorts or a skirt or something like that, which is not very often. Even in the summer here, and by here I mean Central Florida, I wear jeans all year long because I just don't really feel comfortable in shorts or anything like that. Question 5. Talk about cosmetics. Do you choose to wear makeup? Do you paint your nails? What types of soaps and perfumes do you use, if any? I do wear makeup. I wear foundation and concealer, basically. That's about it. I don't really do other makeup unless there's a specific reason, like for cosplay, obviously I do. If I'm getting dressed up, sometimes I'll wear like a little bit of mascara, but that's about it. I don't usually bother with eyeshadow and eyeliner and stuff like that because I'm not very good at it, and it usually just kind of irritates my eyes. So usually the main reason that I wear makeup at all is just because I have like blemishes and stuff on my skin, and I'm self-conscious about that, and so I cover them up. So I don't really do like glamour makeup or anything like that. I do not paint my nails because I bite them, and so painting them is kind of pointless. I painted them in the past to try to get myself not to bite them, and that totally does not work for me. I just bite off the polish and then continue on to the nails, so it's totally useless. And soaps and perfumes, I don't use any kind of perfumes. I don't really like having fragrance on me or really on other people if it's really strong. And for the most part, I use like fragrance-free kind of stuff. A couple hair products that I use have a scent to them, but it's not really strong. It's not like really like flowery or anything. So yeah, so I usually just use like kind of basic stuff. Question 6. Have you experienced being misgendered? If so, how often? Yeah, like pretty much all the time. If I go out in public, I get called ma'am. Like pretty much every time I go anywhere, I get called ma'am or like lady or something like that. Like when I went to lunch yesterday with my friend, and when they brought the check, they were like, "Here you go, ladies," or something like that. And people say stuff like that all the time. So yeah, I like always get misgendered. As far as like people deliberately misgendering me, like people that I know that I'm non-binary, that doesn't really happen in like a malicious way. People occasionally will say things that I feel like I'm being erased, but it's not intentional. Question 7. Do you experience dysphoria? How does that affect you? Yeah, I do. Obviously, as I've talked about before, by the fact that I'm planning to have top surgery, I have pretty significant chest dysphoria. I also have some other dysphoria about my body, like I really do not like my hips and some other things, like the shape of my jaw and things like that. And I have pretty significant voice dysphoria as well. I really cannot stand my voice. I do not like having a voice that is always read as female. That's probably the main types of dysphoria. As far as how it affects me, negatively, I mean, it's not like all day, every day I'm constantly thinking about it, but I think about it pretty frequently. Like, obviously, like anytime I go shopping, I think about it. Anytime I pick out my clothes for the day, I think about it. Anytime I listen to myself speak, I think about it. So, I mean, it is pretty frequently that I think about it and that it affects me. But I mean, I guess I'm able to like function in my life despite it, but it's pretty significant. Question 8. Talk about children. Are you interested in having children? Would you want to carry a child if that were an option for you? Do you want to be the primary caretaker for any children you may have? I absolutely, 100% want absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the reproductive process from beginning to end. The idea of carrying a child is so terrifying to me. I love kids. Like, I have the highest respect for kids. I love watching my friends' kids grow up, and I love like hearing about them and like seeing pictures of them and like hearing their development and stuff. Like, I think it's super interesting, and like I genuinely care about them. I just don't personally want to have kids or to raise kids or really want any part of that process. I like being on the outside and just like getting to experience it as like a friend. Question 9. Talk about money. Is it important to you to provide for a family financially if you choose to have one? Is it important to you that you earn more than any partner you may have? Do you prefer to pay for things like dates? Are you uncomfortable when others pay for you or offer to pay for you? I mean, I don't really consider this a gender thing. I totally understand why this question is on there because there are obviously gendered aspects of money and societal expectations about money and stuff like that. But for me personally, I don't like being dependent. I hate being dependent, but I am, and I always have been. So I have kind of a complicated feelings about being dependent on people and people paying for things. If there's a situation where I am able to pay for something, I'll always pay for it. Like, I don't like having people just buy me stuff or just like pay for things. Like, if I'm out somewhere and like somebody offers to buy me something, like I feel really weird about that. Like, I feel very appreciative, obviously, but I don't usually, I mean, not that that happens that often anyway, but like, usually I would prefer, if I'm not able to pay for it right then I would prefer to like borrow the money and pay the person back. I don't feel right about just like taking things from people. I mean, unless there's like an occasion, like my birthday or something, like that's different. But for people just like giving me stuff that I could get otherwise, I feel kind of weird about. If it's something that I can't afford to do, like right now, I don't have really an income that's substantial enough to pay for like life. I am dependent and I do allow people to pay for things for me. I feel like in that case, I am contributing significantly to the household and to like the relationship that I'm in with the person. I would not be able to just have somebody pay for something and not be actively part of the relationship or like actively part of the household. Like, that's important to me. I definitely feel like I need to be contributing in some way, whether or not it's financially. And as far as like dates and stuff, I didn't really date that much anyway, but the few times that I did go on dates or like things that were like dates, I always paid for myself. I always just preferred to pay for my own stuff, and I don't know, I guess it was like the same thing I was saying before where like I just feel weird about people buying me stuff. I'm not uncomfortable in like a pride way or anything. It's more just I don't want the person to be taken advantage of, and I don't like feeling like I might be doing that. And as far as like partnership and stuff like that, I don't care whether I'm making more or less. I would probably feel the best if I made at least as much as the other person, in my case Jason, because then I would feel less like I'm dependent. But my main concern is just that everybody is contributing to the good of the household, like financially or as far as like labor and emotionally, and like every aspect of the household I feel like is as important as just the financial aspect. So that's my main concern, just as long as everybody is like putting in what they're taking out. And finally, 10, anything else you want to share about your experience with gender? Well, yeah, that's what my whole YouTube channel is for, but as far as like anything I can say just at the end of this video, I guess just that I feel like experiencing my gender and exploring my gender is an ongoing process, and it's not something that I feel like I'm like getting to the end or like getting to the finish line where I'll finally understand everything. Like, it's not like that, and I'm glad that it's not like that. I like that it's something that I'm always learning and growing and seeing things in new ways, like being able to adapt and evolve who I am and how I see myself and how I fit into the world and everything like that. And I think that projects like this gender tag project and pretty much like all the people that make YouTube videos and who make blog posts and just who talk about their gender experience, I think it's really important. It's really helpful to everybody, just to give people, you know, things to think about, things to challenge their assumptions about gender and what it means to experience your gender. So I hope that was interesting and enlightening for you all. I'd love to hear what you guys thought, and if you want to make your own gender tag video, again, the link to all of that is going to be in the description, and I might also put a card up above where you can click to get to Ashley's original video about this. And if you do make one, or if you've already made one, then share that in the comments, because I would love to watch them. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you want to see more of my future videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.